100% Doosra there. Yep, Doosra. Ah, I see a smile on your face. Yeah? Well, you're finding it quite nice and easy, isn't it?
So this is how to play cricket, and you see me on YouTube, some of my Doosra videos, and you're a left arm spinner, and we're going to go and see your action right now. Looking at your action, what I initially saw was a very solid action. You're a left arm spinner, there's quite a lot of left arm spinners.
Yeah.
You came to me for what reason? Other than perfecting obviously your left arm action, there's something else. Doosra.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to introduce now. Doosra is not simple, you're not going to learn it in one session. It took me nearly 5 years to bowl it in test matches.
Yeah.
It took me 4 months just to get it working. But what we'll do is we'll go through it in stages in the next 2 hours, and how to bowl the Doosra and what the methods are, because a lot of bowlers, not just you, want to learn how to bowl the Doosra. I see from your bowling action you do cock your wrist, and I haven't seen that from many bowlers, and that cock wrist sometimes helps your topspin. Here's the reason why. When you get into position, let me just cock my wrist this way, and let me just remind all the viewers out there, once you cock your wrist you reduce pace. The reason why is because your muscles are more tighter down here. You try and bowl off spin, the ball comes out slower. This is one reason why people who cock their wrist and try and bowl it, the ball comes out at 40 miles an hour. So there's ways of getting around it. Now, to bowl a genuine top spinner and off spinner, you have to be in a position where you cock your wrist, you bowl it, and your back bend has to be down here. And that is literally how far you go.
Yeah.
2 reasons why I say that. Saqlain and Murali, not just masters of the Doosra, but probably the best off spinners the world has ever seen. And that's the way it is. But some people might say that, you know who Saqlain Mushtaq is? I know you're young.
Yeah, I do.
His sort of bowling style, which is very conventional, we used to bowl conventional off spin. He used to bend his back, and that bent back means he creates extra power and momentum in his delivery. Extra energy. That extra energy has to go somewhere. It goes down to your arms, and goes down to not just your wrist, and he spins the ball, but there's extra pace. By creating that extra pace, sometimes people say you're bowling too flat. Actually, if you're bowling flat and you're putting extra revs on it, that ball will just dip and you become the best bowler, and that's the reason why you're going to get a county contract. I think there's too many mediocre bowlers out there who rely on the pitch, and all they do is stand there and bowl their off spinners and see they're bowling side spinners.
I have degrees down here as well.
I see that degrees. That's nuts. So I don't have that degree. You have it coming downwards. See, that's genuine hyperextension.
Yeah.
What you have here, this is actually normal. This is not what I call hyperextension. There is advantages in hyperextension. You create extra pace.
Yeah.
You can't get called for no ball for it as well, because obviously it's natural, isn't it? So coming back to your bowling, so mentioning the angle of release, especially for Doosra, which is quite hard to bowl. You have 2 things. You have to be not flat-footed, you have to be over the top. The most important thing is the timing. Timing is very important. Once you turn your wrist around and you open your chest up to bowl it. Once you turn your body around and you're open chested, this should be the way to bowl top spinners. If you open it a bit too much, what happens? You're in this position, open your chest up, and now you're trying to bowl Doosras. But because you open up maybe from this position, you're going to bowl a Doosra. From this position, no Doosra is going to come out. That's the difference here and here. And this, what that means is, this angle, the ball's going to go down towards the wicket. This angle is going to be a wide.
Yeah.
And to get that ball not being a wide, you then break your wrist slightly. That breaking wrist will now become an off spinner. All of a sudden, all that hard effort you think is going to be a Doosra has gone out the window. Yeah. Because mentally, you know, if you bowl Doosra towards the side net, it will be a Doosra, but that's going to be called a big wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about timings, basically. Your release points all come down to practice, months of practice. Where do you bowl it from? Because I'm going to actually get you to bowl Doosra first, from a short distance. And if you've got the ability to do that, we can go to the next stage, because a lot of ways to start off is just to stand there against the wall and flick your wrist over. Now, doing this is the most simplest thing, and everyone can do it. You can tell a kid to do that and the Doosra will come out. I just don't like the dynamics of that. I just think anyone can do that. That's not really Doosra bowling. You have to bowl it from over the top.
Yeah.
So just from over the top, we're going to get you standing there, bowling to me, over the top, and let's see what comes out. Just with a normal action like this.
Yep.
And we'll do it from half the distance. Is that okay?
Yep.
Right, there you go. This is what we're going to do. Exactly the same. You're going to get as high as possible, and that's going to be your position.
Yeah.
On release, whatever you do, you're going to be in this position. Let's see where that leads to. Because I used to find that whenever I just get high as possible and just bowl off spin, sometimes Doosra came out by mistake.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I know I've got a good day coming up with me. So you're going to stand there as high as possible and then just bowl your top spinner or Doosra. Good try. It's getting better now. This is top spin. Keep on going. Good. Alright. Wrist positions. How do you grip the ball?
Normally for stock, like that.
Cool. How do you bowl Doosra? Crossing?
Yeah.
Right, good. Okay, so you're doing...
Well.
Yeah, that's well. I like it for some reason like this as well. Sometimes I used to practice this by turning my whole wrist around early.
Yeah.
Now, when you generally get the hang of top spin or Doosra, I'm going to bow it like this, and then I'm going to turn my whole wrist around. That creates extra revs.
Yeah.
Not easy to do. That's the Murali version of bowling a Doosra. And I've mentioned in my previous videos, if you haven't seen it, I advise you to go back watching my masterclass series. There's 4 ways of bowling the Doosra. You have the Murali one. It's not a saucer ball. You break that wrist, you flip it all around. From here you're flipping around, the Doosra comes out in that direction. Yeah. Second one is the Ajmal way. This one where you have to have long fingers or a loose grip. Turn it back, flip it over the top. Doosra that way. The third one is one which I see quite a lot of people bowl. In this position you're leaning over and then you flip that wrist round. So from this position you flip it round, Doosra comes out that way. Basically it angles in and straightens.
Yeah.
That is probably the easiest one to bowl, but after saying that, the hardest one to get any sort of purchase and also accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one is the one which is probably the most effective but hardest to bowl. It's basically the Sakhalin way, which is using your long fingers. Now Sakhalin used to hold it with the first and third finger, and he used to bowl Doosra with that. I still think you can bowl it with the first two because I've done it before. And it's basically aim it towards that area, and the most important thing is lock that wrist. Once it breaks, you're in trouble. If you cock it too much, and here's a tip that I've never mentioned before, if you cock it too much, you're in big trouble. The more you cock it, the more you have to lock that wrist, and it's almost impossible to bowl Sakhalin delivery with a cocked wrist. Once you cock it too much and come round, the ball will just literally go on the floor, there will be no pace, you will have to break that wrist. That's why the timing is perfect. It has to be a certain angle. That comes down to trial. I think this is a straight seam, this is it, nothing more than this. And now it comes down to angles of run up, and also where you're bowling from the crease, and are you bowling towards the wicket and wide of the wicket. This comes down to practice, and this is why 5 years and 4 months I mentioned all the time. This all comes down to this angle. How much will the angle be? Which angle are you going to bowl? Is it wide of the wicket coming in straining, or are you going to be close to the wicket? Both work. Which one works for you? Who knows? Moeen Ali has bowled the Doosra in Test cricket. Did he bowl from over the wicket, from around the wicket? Bowl from around the wicket. For right arm bowlers, bowling from around the wicket, you get this extra pivot and come round. The ball now goes into the batsman and then Doosra's away. Why am I mentioning this? Before I mentioned, if you bowl Doosra and you bowl it and it's going wide, the ball will Doosra away, but it'll be a wide. But once you start angling it in, it's very hard to bowl Doosra that way because you've got to get your timings right. If you get your timings wrong and you bowl it wide, it goes away.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same as a right arm off spinner coming around the wicket, angle it into the batsman and then spinning in. So for that, it's like bowling a wide to a right hander, but to a left hander it's a perfect delivery. This is why right armers bowl Doosra around the wicket. Ajmal did many times. When you're bowling it, two things here. From this position, you can either cock your wrist all the way down, cock the wrist from here. Yeah, Doosra comes out, and it does come out from this distance. When you cock the wrist, you come all the way around. Yeah, not hard.
When I'm bowling,
Yeah.
what do you recommend I should do?
So this position, when you're in this position, how would you do it in slow motion? Come all the way around. Now you're in this position.
Yeah.
Show me that, go on. How would you be doing it? Like that? All the way around?
Just push those stumps.
You'll be there.
Over there.
Yep, that's how we'll be going out.
Yeah.
From there, top spin will come out for sure.
Keep it behind the net.
And then it's obviously down to experimenting to get the Doosra ready.
Yeah.
But that's how you should be bowling it.
Just think about
This is,
in the first 10, yeah?
from this position, I'll go all the way around. Yeah, and that's a Doosra there. But what I did was I really opened up and I came to this position here and I bowled it. It will come out slowly, but that's when you have to come up with a bit of a run up. You have to be in your tiptoes, and even there I forgot to get on my tiptoes. My fault. If I got on my tiptoes and got even later, come round, guaranteed that ball will coming out, and plus accuracy as well. You control your length by getting in your tiptoes and falling over. You're closer to the wickets. You now control your wrist position better, and then you'll be able to land your Doosra in a better position in the danger area. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Even showing that back of the wrist, if the off spinner comes out, not the biggest issue. Once the batsman sees that he's got something different, they start thinking a bit too much. And that is enough for me, because sometimes I just want to bowl one and it shows them, hey, I've got something different. Now you try and pick what's happening. They get too many things going through their mind. This guy bowls now an off spinner, top spinner, Doosra, not sure what's happening. Hopefully I've got his number, because by then he might make the wrong calculation and get out. So that's what you want to do. It's not all about getting wickets with this. It's all about bowling the one delivery, maybe a top spinner, showing the back of the wrist. Sometimes you can mimic to him. Yeah, you know, that's a good ball, isn't it? And your teammates might get excited as well. They might say a few words, oh, he's bowling the Doosra now. These sort of things intimidate not just the batsman, make him think a bit more. All of that means is the next ball you might want to mix it up, bowl a quicker one on the pass game LBW. That's what you want to try, yeah? So from this position you can do exactly the same. Cock that wrist, turn all the way around, and you want to be in this position, facing this way at the end. You're in this position now trying to bowl Doosra, the top spinners, yeah? Big pivot all the way around.
Yeah.
Cock that wrist. All the way around. So from here you're going to go all the way around, yeah?
Yeah.
What happened there?
Straight in.
It went straight, isn't it? Yeah. Almost behind yourself, you're going to be bowling in this position where you're not even looking at the wicket now. Now down to muscle memory, you'll be bowling it from here, looking in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And sometimes you will bowl it, it's going to float up in the air by mistake. But that doesn't matter, because we're practicing here. See, that's a beautiful top spinner now. So now you know you've got a top spinner from that distance. And that ball will now kick, yeah? So now you've got a top spinner. Because you practiced the Doosra, top spinners come out nicely. Alright, you see the bounce on that?
Yeah.
Why is that happening? This is all overspin revs. This is something you've now invented for yourself, and you've now realised, actually, I've bowled a delivery which is on a length kicking.
Yeah.
And that's beauty. And that will get wickets as well. So now you can continue doing it.
Yeah.
Alright, we're going to go around the wicket now.
Okay.
Just to see what the angles work. Two things you're going to try and do. Bowl one here and you're going to bowl one wide. So for now you're going to bowl one wide.
Okay.
Straight away I can see the angle doesn't work for you. Bowl to your left armour now. But go close to the wicket. Go, yeah, that's it. Alright.
So now remember with him,
Yeah, better.
he doesn't have a leggy. Although the leg spinner, everything that he's going to bowl is going to be a good.
Alright.
Breaking it better.
I was going to say, it might have broken, but I see a beautiful wrist going over the top. And that's unique in its own. Not many people even bowl something like this.
Yeah.
And if you can bowl this consistently and bowl that, you'll find out that sometimes orthodox, mixing up like this, it's like having two bowlers in one.
Yeah.
And trust me, that's very impressive. I see a lot of revs on that already. But now you're not just bowling conventional finger spin, you're using a lot of wrist, and both of them come out, extra revs, dip, wickets. Makes you into something unique now. You can now think about this. Okay, he's told me to turn around and bowl it. I can also do that exactly the same and now flip over. And now, 12 o'clock, you're bowling from 11:30, and now you're bowling off spin.
Yeah.
Control won't be there, but I've seen a lot of youngsters bowl this method, and it does work. The only difference is you're going to have to change change it to create more pace, and you do that because you won't be flat-footed like all the other bowlers, because I've seen lots of bowlers bowl this, 3 people in total, they bowl it and they're flat-footed and they're bowling it and it comes out, I don't know, 35 miles an hour. You're going to be in this position where you're going to rotate on your tiptoes, come round, and you're going to literally aim in that direction, flip out of the wrist. Another way is just to turn your wrist backwards and flip it over the front. Have you tried that one?
No.
Now that's the Ajmal method. From this position you got a straight arm, it comes round, automatically you're going to have that bent arm. You have to bring that arm all the way around now. This is where you have to have that bent back.
Yeah.
I was telling you about before, that you, as an off spinner, as a Doosra bowler, you have to be somebody, not standing here, but coming here. Yeah, coming here, big stride, coming all the way around. You're literally releasing it as late as possible. From this position, even if you release it from here, the ball still flicks upwards. If I'm really low and I'm trying to bowl off spin from here, I cannot bowl off spin. I literally will be bowling it somewhere on the floor.
Yeah.
But once I turn that wrist round, I've now got that ability to flick the ball upwards.
Yeah.
This is why bending your back creates extra revs, but you can also release ball upwards, and once you get the right trajectory, you'll land in the right spot.
Yeah.
That comes down to practice. A drop short bowl of the Doosra. And that's where practice comes into it, because you've bowled a 16-yard Doosra now. So you're bowling from a high position. You can bowl it from a higher position as high as possible, but if you get from a high position, bowl the Ajmal method, which is straight down.
Yeah.
Almost impossible to bowl the Murali method from this one.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is. I've tried it before. From here, you get the highest possible, come straight down. So this is up and down. That's going to be your arm rotation. Here, all the way up, all the way down.
Yeah.
Murali is different. Murali is from here, when you come round, turn all the way around, and you're releasing it here. So it's now coming wider here, all the way around. This trajectory. Ajmal is this trajectory.
Yeah.
Kushal Mendes is now like this, literally coming round this way.
Yeah.
From this position, coming around like that. Flipping over the top, different trajectory completely to Murali. Murali is this way, Kushal Mendes this way, Ajmal this way.
In the middle. Yeah.
Yeah? And sack lane, 1 o'clock angle. Same, round arm action, coming around here. Basically, he releases it not from a high point, not from here, he releases it wide. Cock that wrist, not too much. You're bowling from here, you're using your 2-3 fingers to flick the ball out. That's all he does.
Suckling's going wide arm, it's easier to bowl that with a straight arm than it is
Yeah,
to go
100%.
over there.
Because reason why he's going to have more of a straighter arm is because he's not showing the back of his hand.
Yeah.
Because he's bowling it from just literally from a side arm,
Yeah.
automatically he won't have that bend.
Yeah.
Even though he got called for no ball and people called him a chucker, eventually he got, cleared quite quickly.
Yeah.
They realised, you know what, he's not straightening his arm. He might have a bend, but that bend is just a semi-bend because he's got a semi-cock wrist. So now you're going to bowl leaning over, Kushal method,
Yeah.
and then you're going to bowl it from about 11 o'clock. Beautiful top spinner. So you're going to do it and you're going to really rotate around. Literally, you have to be in this position now, bowling it. I don't know what was going to happen there. It was going to be a good one though. Because when you bowl Doosras, and even somewhat top spinners, these are not conventional off spinners no more. All the mechanics of off spin goes out of the window, and this is why a lot of people might see a Doosra and not know how to bowl it, because they're thinking about, okay, get on my pivot, go around, finish off my action. Trust me, it all goes out the window.
Yeah.
Now it's all about sometimes making sure you're flat-footed, but bend your back backwards. So now you're in this position, because from here you create extra whip.
Yeah.
And that creates pace.
Yeah.
And that's something that no one teaches you in cricket, because you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But this is why the mechanics aren't right. This is why you're going to be in this falling position, turning around almost somewhat backwards, bowling Doosras. But everyone knows you should be looking at the batsman and try and bowl your off spinners.
Yeah.
Mechanics out the window. In a match, when it starts coming out, like normal, you bowl 2-3 overs. You're bowling 20 overs in a match. You're in there, you bowl so many overs, mate. All of a sudden, this wrist work and the fingers, the ball feels nice in the fingers. All of a sudden, you feel like you've got long fingers. It just all starts coming out nicely. Now you're just thinking, well, I'll just use my fingers to bowl it. And the conventional Doosra starts coming out with a conventional action. And all of a sudden, you don't need to twist too much. And once you get all that flexibility and confidence and you're landing it, all of a sudden you're not going to be bowling it like this no more. You'll probably start mixing it up with, you know what, I don't need to bowl it from here, I'll just bowl it from here, I'll bowl it from here, I'll bowl it from here. And all of a sudden, working with one method, you've now worked with all the methods.
Yeah.
And it's still Doosra.
It just becomes natural.
It just becomes natural, exactly. And one of them will work for you on the day. And once you master one, you will master all of them, because they all involve something special, which is the broken wrist. And that's what you need to work on.
Yeah.
Keeping it locked.
Yeah.
Alright, so back to normal. You're doing that, you're going to twist around, and you're going to bowl your Doosra. No, not yet. You see that? Doosra, yeah?
Yeah.
You know why? You did not look at me.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do the next action, the Ajman action.
Yorker is hit into the gap, and that's 50. Incredible stuff, really is one hell of a batting effort from him. He loves it, the fans are loving it, the dugout is incredibly happy because they're seeing a sensational 50 here.